Hey guys, my name is Ewan and I'm from Team V325 and our humble three-man group consists of myself, Jensen and Stanley and all the three of us are from Monash University. Now, why did we choose case study number 3? We chose this case study as Malaysia's population is ever growing and we know that Asians per capita municipal solid waste generation is 1.14 kg per capita per day. That means that there are about 38,427 metric tons of waste generated per day, where 82% of said waste is disposed of in landfills. On top of that, Malaysians' recycling rate is actually below the average rate of 30.67% as of 2020. Now, we felt like this is an issue that has the most impact to us due to the severity of the consequences of leaving it be and what we want to do our part in assisting waste management in Malaysia. So let's move on to our proposed solution. Now, our solution mainly aims at the identification and distribution of waste dumps like litter, landfills, unsanitary waste collection, and we decided to achieve this with a 5-step process. The first of which being the user spotting and describing the nature of the waste dump. The second, having these users upload to the web app with images, leading to step 3, where users from all around the world are able to view the report made in step 2, which then notifies and helps gain the attention of the community who would bring up the issue with their respective person or organization. Now, this would compel the government or NGOs to use its existing system of waste management to rid of the reported waste. Now, overall, this proposed solution helps with the identification of waste dumps and puts pressure on local officials or NGOs by showing all the reported waste dumps in the area, forcing them to take action. Now, moving on to a demo.
Alright, so now moving on to our demo, which consists the main functionality of our proposed solution. There are 5 pages of demo: homepage, report page, login page, near me page, and account page. Let's start with our homepage. So our homepage consists of all the reported trash dumps, as you can see, and it's global, so we have countries from all over the world. It is sorted from most recent to least recent. We have a view details button over here, so if you click on it, it will show the country, state, city, when it was reported, the date, and distance from the current user. If we click OK, we'll go back to the home page, but we can also click on map to see a close-up image of where the reported trash is. Now, moving on to the next page, let's move on to report. So if a user wants to report a waste dump, they can select the type of waste, the 5 main types of waste listed here. We also have a guide for first-time users or users who are not familiar with waste management jargon. They can also write a description of the waste dump here, which really helps identify the main problem that the waste dump is going to produce. And they can upload an image proof or any files over here. Now, the next main page would be the Near Me page. As you have seen, this is mostly a map page. So, for example, if I reside in San Francisco, this will be the view that I get. And you can see the waste dumps in Golden Gate Park here and Dogpatch. We can zoom in, and we can also zoom out. So, the next functionality we have would be the share function to gain traction and attention from our friends from social media, and we also have a full screen function. Now, moving on to our login page. When users log in, they have to key in their email address, password, and what if they forget their password? We can help reset their password through email. And what if they don't have an account? They can sign up. So, this is the sign up page. They have to enter details such as email address, their name, address, and phone number. This is all necessary for validation, and when they report, we can get their approximate address, and we can also get their phone number if it's something urgent or something very important. So sign up, and back to home. So our last main page would be the account page. Now, this is the account page. We have 3 sections: account details, history, and privacy. Account details is for us to edit our details and to double check if our details are correct. So moving on to the report page, we can see that all of the trash reported are categorized by resolved or unresolved. So if it's resolved, it means that the government or NGOs have cleaned up the waste dumps. If it's unresolved, it means that it's not cleaned up yet and it's still there. Next, we have the privacy page. Privacy page is filled with all the details of whatever information that we collect from the users. And that's about it for the demo.
Coming back, let's look at the tech that actually is utilized to build our solution. Now, users interact with our web app through a front-end React project utilizing HTML, Tailwind CSS, and TypeScript for styling and front-end API calls. Redux for user state management, the Google API for geolocation data visualization, and of course, our backend being built in Django. Now, interacting with an SQL database for storing user data and, of course, the trash requests. Moving onwards, what is our business model? Our business model has different modes of types of subscriptions and revenue streams, but we mainly rely on this because of three reasons. First, we want a reliable recurring annual revenue. Now, this makes it easier for cost management and other financial planning related matters. Secondly, subscription-based models have reduced churn rate and better customer retention due to the continuous contact slash liaison with customers and making the customers feel dependent on our product. So much so that the churn rate is rather low relative to one time of buying. Lastly, building on the last point, we can actually foster a relationship with our customers, leading to a customer retention and, of course, possible referrals from other potential customers. Now here's an example pricing model breakdown where we have split it into three different subscription model services. The first is for smaller scale. This can be from a school to a campus to a city. And this involves a flat fee for the implementation costs. And of course, the data stored for all of your actual report data. We'd put no additional upfront costs on top of this data, just a flat 4,200 ringgit. This because we want to make it as low barrier to entry as possible. Then, of course, there's a continuous software update where if you would like to continue with the next year's changes, this will be about $100,000 per annum. It's a flat fee. And of course, if you look at the much larger scale, there isn't much of a difference other than the implementation cost being simply doubled. But this is for a state to a country, a much wider range. And again, the actual space requirements don't scale as much because we aren't charging an additional cost. We have a flat fee for the database. This again, we want it as low barriers entry as possible, but a flat 100,000 ringgit per annum. You might be wondering what the best fit is for, and the best fit is to help you identify what is your best amount of storage space, as 40 terabytes might be more than you really need. Just that, if you were to take this service model, we'll charge a small flat fee for consultation. Moving on with the market segment. Now, who will actually be buying from us from this pricing scheme? Well, we range this from larger scales to be federal and ministerial departments or even government bodies to the smaller scales such as universities or city governments.
Looking at the geographical indication and actual purpose of us being here and this product being here, there are two main places. There's the more city and urban areas, where they are generally quite clean and users would want to keep that area clean from any form of littering or trash dumps. And looking to the more general places in countries such as Malaysia, the rural communities, where trash is quite abundant and all around, and this is something that governments and NGOs would like to reach, but they're unable to do so because they are not that knowledgeable in the landscape or where the trash is actually located from, which is what our application will resolve. To the demographic, with a large amount and growing base of mobile users, a trend matching well to report-based user-centric platform, aka Cabbage Trash, we believe that with the growing amount of mobile users, we'd have a pretty large consumer base to take away from, where they'd be able to essentially just take a picture of a trash location and send their current location. To the psychographic, a larger problem creeping and growing over the years involves the growing number of illegal dumping complaints, which we believe will be mitigated and resolved with the help of our web app. Finally, behavioral. If you're familiar with Waze, a very popular application based on GPS, road incident, and real-time data to traffic, this platform is entirely user report-centric, a model we hope to replicate in Cabbage Trash. Something which we believe we can expand on further, as the application will be incentive-based, user reporting through the incentive of having trash in unwanted areas removed, and potentially through government initiatives offering a reward scheme. Now moving on to the competitor analysis, unlike trending industries like e-commerce, we don't really have a lot of competition. A very good example of a potential competitor would be an app called Iceland Selangor, where users in Selangor can report trash dumpings to KBB Waste Management for them to clean up the dumpings. Now, what are the differences between our proposed solution and Iceland Selangor? Well, our solution is deployed globally, and everyone can see the dumpings on both app and web app. Besides that, instead of relying on one company, we're able to deal with whichever companies are favorable to us. Moving to the future, what are a few things that we hope to implement? We plan to implement user authentication, user identity authentication. This prevents sort of multi-accounting where multiple users might send a certain report when inherently it's not actually that pressing for manner to get rid of the trash relative to other reports. Next, of course, there's spam filtering and troll detection. With an app such as relying on users to users, we need some sort of algorithm or at least filter to get rid of spam requests and troll requests that aren't actual reports of garbage. And finally, we hope to implement a more straightforward and linear reward incentive program. And how would this benefit our app? Well, through an incentive program, this actually increases user interaction and improves their benefit to actually interacting with the app and actually posting user reports. This, of course, also increases our publicity in the app and incentivizes action in garbage cleaning.